All right, we're back with more Dump and Change. We'll move our topics from hockey to basketball. The NBA Finals starts tonight. You have the OKC Thunder taking on the Miami Heat. You have the big three on both sides. Who would you take in this situation?
I don't follow basketball too much. I mean, I just know about the big three and relocating to Miami, the whole stage set there. So, I mean, without even knowing much about it, I'm going against the Heat. I mean, it's the underdog, right? It's the first time Oklahoma's been there. The fans will be just excited, and underdog. I'm going with the underdog.
You look at OKC's bench. I think that's what's going to determine this series. If the top three from each team battle it out and are pretty well even, and I'm going to say OKC. Now, Miami's top three is better than OKC's top three, then the Heat will win. But it's going to come down to the bench for both teams, and I like the Thunder's bench better.
They do have a lot of depth on that side, especially when you have a guy like Derek Fisher who comes off the bench and the way he produces and gets points for you. That is huge. Definitely will help you out. But will this season be a disappointment for the Miami Heat if they don't win? Because remember, they put these lofty expectations.
Lofty? You're talking more than lofty.
Yeah. They were preaching about
they were saying they're going to win 6 straight,
yeah.
8 straight, 10 straight.
Well, they've made now 2 straight NBA Finals. Will they be a finalist once again?
The pressure's all on them. I mean, the most fun I have is watching the kid that got all the Twitter attention with his
good job,
good effort, good job. So hopefully he makes a little bit of TV time. But yeah, the pressure's totally on them. When you come out and say that you're not going to win 1 or 2, but they're talking 5 or 6 championships, people just feed off that and will cheer against them, right?
It's like becoming the Yankees of basketball, where everybody comes to watch the Yankees to lose. Not to win, but to lose. And that's what people are. And Miami's kind of bitten off more than they can chew right now.
Well, the series is going to be great. It's been a while since we've had an NBA Finals where everyone's geared to go. Even if you're not a basketball fan, it's exciting to watch. So that's also a good point for the NBA. It's going to be great for them. But let's move on to Manny Pacquiao. Not the greatest decision or weekend for him. A little bit controversial depending on what side. I did watch the fight. I thought it was actually quite even, and I wasn't really upset with the Timothy Bradley win and decision. But where do you go with this? Would you have scored it differently?
Didn't see the fight, and talked to a couple of people that did see the fight, and they thought Pacquiao should have won. Not by a lot, like a few of my friends said it was close, but Pacquiao should have got the decision. It's just, boxing has done this so many times, and you're wondering when it's ever going to clean it up, and every time you think it's another black eye and boxing's going to decline, all of a sudden it picks itself up off the canvas and swings again, I guess.
Yeah, and I would agree with that in the sense that we were just talking before. Boxing is trying to make a comeback to try to get a little of that market back from the UFC and different things, and always a black eye on the boxing was the fact that the judging was so unpredictable. And I mean, this guy Bradley was already talking about, he had the oversized tickets promoting the rematch in the fall. And so, I mean, it just feeds the fire that, was it fixed? I mean, there's millions of dollars on the line. This guy hadn't lost in 7 years. He deserved to win. All of a sudden there's controversy. They get the rematch. They get another big bill. They're a fighting bill. And it's interesting. It's too bad because I do enjoy the boxing when it's a good fight. But yeah, it just continues to have that
One
shadow.
thing with UFC, at least you got to give him credit, Dana White kind of oversees everything. So there is that, I won't say a supreme being, but there is that person to oversee, that gives you the checks and balances going through. Boxing doesn't have that. That is an issue. But how much will this fight affect a Pacquiao-Mayweather fight in the future?
Is Mayweather in jail right now?
Well, I'm sure he was laughing. He was laughing in his prison cell.
Yeah.
But
so when does he get out?
Well, I don't know if it was, 45 days or a little bit over.
That's another black eye for boxing right there.
Well, but it still bring in seats regardless. But how much will the loss, Pacquiao's loss,
well, there almost
really
has to
affect
be another rematch first, right? I mean, that'll set up another rematch with this fight, Bradley and them, and then a Mayweather fight. So, I mean, it just trickles down. I mean, it's something that has to wait 5 or 6 months in between. It can't fight every month. So,
So you're looking maybe a year away. And who knows where either boxer is going to be in a year from now. Is Pacquiao still going to be fighting a year from now? Is Mayweather going to be back in jail in a year from now? You never know.
All right, well, let's move on from one controversial sport to another, and that's horse racing. The Belmont, the eve of the Belmont, there was a lot of excitement to seeing their first Triple Crown winner over 30 years. Then there was the leg injury to I'll Have Another, and that kind of ends the horse racing career. And it really put a damper on the Belmont. Was this disappointing for horse racing, or was it tragic?
I wouldn't say it's tragic. I mean, it's a business. I mean, it was tough for us as Canadians because there was that Canadian tie, right? It would have been nice to see the Triple Crown, but it's a business. I mean, after winning 2 races, this horse was more valuable off track than on the track. And so I think as a business decision, they said we got more to lose by him going out and racing and becoming hurt than to, winning that Belmont.
It is disappointing. It's not tragic, but I think more than anything, of course, being with the chuck wagons in that industry as well as the horse racing industry gets criticized for the treatment of their animals. Their animals are their life. And this is a strong indication that, this horse wasn't healthy. They could have probably raced this horse, could have got injured, it could have got a lot worse. They made that call, and it was a tough call to make, and that shows you how much they have this love for these horses.
It's tough too, because it's not like, well, say for the person, they get injured, they can rehab and come back. For a horse, they're done.
Yeah.
But he goes out to stud now.
Yeah.
Not a bad way to make a living.
Not a bad
No,
way.
no. No, I'm sure the owners will get some money about that. But ex-NFL players, and this is where I'm going with this in terms of players getting injured. The issue now, more than 2,000 former NFL players are suing the NFL for concussions, saying more could have been done. Now, would you agree with the argument that the NFL knew and hid the dangers of head trauma, which is causing this class action lawsuit?
It depends how far you go back in this class action lawsuit, because in the 70s and 80s and even in the 90s, concussion wasn't really in our vocabulary back then. It was you get your bell rung, sit down, rest, get back in the lineup. And you've seen movies, Any Given Sunday is a prime example of guys with concussions that they kind of look the other way. Now, is that happening on a daily basis? Well, if you want your career, sometimes you don't tell the trainers and tell the doctor exactly how you're feeling.
Yeah, it's such a dog-eat-dog business. I mean, the NFL is the biggest sports business out there, and I mean, it's sad to say that the players are pawns in it, and I mean, the owners and everybody else, if you don't perform, they'll replace you with somebody else. And so the players are under pressure. I mean, like you said, and it's no different than hockey. A lot of players won't admit they're hurt because if you're a third or fourth liner, you're easily replaced, and so you want to fight through it. The owners, I say they had a little bit more knowledge in it than they'd had, but it opens a can of worms. Where does it stop? I mean, all of a sudden now hockey and different things like that, the number of concussions we've had. So if there is money awarded, the other major leagues are going to look out and go.
You have a short time frame to make your money in professional sports, and all of a sudden if an injury prevents you from making your money, making your living, you're going to probably, as an athlete, you're going to look the other way, and you hope that maybe the doctor and the trainers do. You look at even the likes of Tom Brady. Tom Brady was a third-string quarterback. All of a sudden, Drew Bledsoe goes down. He wasn't a concussion, but that's what happens in professional sports. Tom Brady moves up. What happened to Bledsoe? He was done. Brady's career took off.
Yeah.
But I guess you touched on it, because I know the CFL, a lot of controversy when it comes to the alumni really wanting the CFL to do more for those retired players who do go through those injuries. So they don't have the money like the NFL does. The NHL, obviously with the CBA, that's going to be going on. That's probably going to be another issue. How will this play out if the NFL or the players are successful?
Well, like I said, it can have huge consequences. I mean, you look at the summer we had last year in the NHL. I mean, there's three prominent agitators, enforcers, that unfortunately passed away. And I mean, a lot of it was led to head concussions and what was the consequences there. So the NHL is obviously on top of it. How much do the players know about it? But I think the players are becoming more informed on it. But if there's a class action suit and money is awarded to players, where do you start? I mean, the Broad Street Bullies, all the 70s, I mean, that type of era that, weren't making the money that they are today, are they going to come after and say, we want a piece of the pie? So it's, I mean, from the owner's lawyer situation, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
And there's so many sad stories from professional sports, and Doug Harvey comes to mind, a great Montreal Canadian defenseman who was living on the streets in Montreal in his retirement years, and that's sad. And here's a legendary player that made that organization, made the NHL a lot of money over his time of playing, and he ended up being penniless.
Well, it's certainly a sad situation. It'll be an interesting one too. But we're going to take a quick break. We got Over Under coming up.